Hey everybody, welcome to Garden Time with Belle. Well, I have my to-do list right here in my hand. On the last video that I shared with you all on my October walkabout, I used that garden tour as an opportunity for me to create a to-do list of things I need to take care of ASAP here in my Zone 6 Mid-Missouri garden to get my gardens ready for winter. So while it might be sunny, it is brisk out. It's in the 40s this morning where I live, and the wind, of course, is blowing. It's super windy here in the fall, blustery as they say. But there are so many things that I can still be doing in my garden. And I have to admit, sometimes gardening this time of year is so enjoyable where I live because it might be cold out, but it's kind of nice to work in the cold instead of our hot and humid summer. So I thought I'd start off with sharing with you all what's on my to-do list. And I don't know how many of these things I'm going to be able to get to today and bring you along, but thought I'd just kind of give you an overview of what I'm thinking about I'm going to try to tackle. Then we'll do it. I'll show you how I do things, and then then I'm going to be feeling better about leaving town yet again, knowing that a lot of these tasks that are really critical to be doing in the fall are taken care of. So here's a few things on my list. So I need to be pruning the tops off of these giant Gertrude Jekyll climbing roses. So I'm going to take care of that today. I still have plenty of annuals in the ground, and I'm just going to go ahead and pull those. You can leave your annuals, and really let's pause here for just a minute. I know that there is a lot of advice out there, and kind of sometimes not very kind advice of people feeling really strongly about don't clean up your gardens in the fall, leave it for pollinators and habitat to overwinter. And while that may be true, and it is true, I have 10 acres here. I have a 2-acre pollinator habitat. I have lots of things that I leave for the winter, for winter interest and habitat. I am providing plenty of habitat for overwintering critters. So you do your cleanup when it makes sense for you based on your area of the country and what you're hoping to achieve. So again, if some of you needed to hear that kind of affirmation, just do what you want to do when you can do it, awesome. Of course, keep pollinators in mind. Do what you can in your gardens to help with that. But I'm convinced that my pollinators are very happy and they have tons of habitat here in my mid-Missouri garden. So, all right, enough about that. So, let's see, what's other things on my list? Oh, I need to cut back my Brunnera. And it's just like hostas, really good idea to cut it back for the winter. So I'll be doing that. And I have some things that I need to pull up out of pots and repot and try to overwinter in the greenhouse. Oh, I just saw, speaking of pollinators, did you guys see that? I just saw a little bee fly right in front of the camera. So I hope I caught that on camera. That would be really great. Yeah, so I might be doing a little transplanting. The other thing from my last video, and I'll make sure I provide a link here for you, my October walkabout video. One of the things I shared in that video that I need to do is we need to start gathering up our leaves and shredding them and using them as mulch on our garden beds, as well as extra protection around some tender shrubs and perennials. Not going to get to that today. No way. That's going to have to wait till I come back from my trip. My husband and I like to do that project together, and it's a doozy, but it is so worth it to use what nature has given us as a natural mulch and a way to improve our soil and add lots of good organic material into the soil. So yeah, the leaf shredding project is a whole thing in of itself, and I'll film that in a week or so and share that process with you. So that is what I'm hoping to get accomplished today. Before we start on the first to-do, which would be taking care of my rose bush, I'm going to invite everybody to please like and subscribe to my channel. Those of you that just found me on YouTube, thank you for being here. Glad you did. So you might want to subscribe. Those of you that do subscribe, thank you so much for supporting my channel so that I can share gardening adventures in my neck of the woods with a lot of other gardeners just like you. So, okay, so for this trimming job that I'm doing on my roses, I don't need very many tools, so I'm just gonna put on my gloves here. I've got some my Philco 6s. to cut through some of these canes. And you're going to notice I've got a couple of places to gather up what I'm going to be cutting back today. I've got my pop-up bag, which I just asked Santa for a new one because you see how ratty this poor bag is? Yeah, it's been well used. It is time for a replacement. So I'm hoping Santa will bring me a Fiskars hard-bottomed pop-up bag to replace this one, but it's going to have to do for today. So I've got my bag here, but for my roses, I'm going to throw them in this little sled, and you all have seen my sled if you follow my channel. I pull this behind my little scooter to get all around the property. It is amazing to haul stuff in, and the reason why I'm going to take the rose canes and put them in my sled instead of the pop-up is because I am going to dispose of the rose canes in a separate area. I don't compost rose canes, and most people don't because all of the pokey stickers and thorns and stuff, but I will use my pop-up bag for some other things as we go along. So yeah, let's see, just like in my last video for the October walkabout, this is not my proper annual rose pruning. I prune all of my roses, including this one, every April. Usually the first week of April is when I get out here and I do a proper cutback. So I will bring you along and give you great details on how to care for your roses and get them ready for spring and summer. So it's not going to hurt this rose at all for me to at least top it off, take off all this stuff that just has shot up. I don't need that for winter. I'll leave enough of the canes that it will be perfectly healthy and fine throughout the winter. So yeah, I'm just going to get to it. Pruners, somewhere to put my rose canes, and then I'll dispose of them properly in a special area of our property where I put things that I don't plan to compost. Okay, time to take care of Gertrude's twin sister over here. And in fact, this one's grown even taller at the end of the season. So same thing. Let's cut this back. Okay, so that one's taken care of. All roses are a bit different, and the variety that I love, Gertrude Jekyll, this rose is a very thorny, so be careful with Gertrude. She is gorgeous, but she is pokey. I'm not worried about making precise cuts above a leaf stem with 5 leaves. That's what I'll be doing in April. I'll really be paying attention to more precise pruning. This is just topping this off so it's not so top heavy through the winter. And so yeah, so that's done, easy. All right, yeah, I've got some Supertunia, silverberry petunias here that can go. So that could not be easier. And I'm going to put those annuals in my refuse bag because this is going to be put in my big compost bin, which I'll show you later. So I've made it over here on the north side of the house, and I've already removed a bunch of annuals that I had in here amongst my evergreens and my shrubs. All the coleus that I grew all the way along this back wall, I pulled all that out already, cut back my hostas. But what I want to show you today is my Brunnera. So Brunnera is a really amazing shade-loving plant, and I started cutting back yesterday and forgot, oh my gosh, I got to film this. So I left these two. So I'm just going to cut those back to the ground and compost the leaves. So that'll be a super easy task. Okay, so the next thing on my to-do list is to dig out these crotons that I have here in my fall arrangements and get them into some pots and try to overwinter them in the greenhouse. I did overwinter some crotons last year with pretty decent success. And so, yeah, so I picked these two pots. Now, these are ceramic pots. They do have a nice big drainage hole. Whew, there comes the wind again. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift them out of the aqua pots, put them in here, and then I want to show you something that I'm going to spray them down with before I bring them in the greenhouse, because I don't want to introduce any kind of critters in the greenhouse that might harm some of my other plants. So I have it in my little scooter, so let me go grab it. So I am going to be spraying them down with neem oil. It's a wonderful fungicide, miticide, insecticide, and it's by Bonide. I use a lot of their products. Yeah, really great tip for you is when you are thinking about overwintering anything in your home, in your greenhouse, where it's going to be around other plants, you want to make sure, first of all, you're not bringing in any critters. So you want to inspect the plant. Some people like to wash the plant down with a stream of water first, and then probably spray it and let that dry before you introduce it into your home or your greenhouse. So that's the process I think I'll take today. I don't think I'll rinse them down unless I see any active insects and things on my croton. But I definitely got to get the croton inside the greenhouse, because last night I think it got down to 34 degrees, and I think we've got a 33, 32 degree night, and crotons are considered tropicals. They're not made for this kind of weather. So, all right, so I'm going to grab my Hori Hori knife and pull this out and spray it down and get it in the greenhouse. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray both of these croton down with the neem oil, and I'm going to leave them right here for a little bit, kind of to let that neem oil dry out, and then I'm going to pull them in the greenhouse, and then I'm going to add some really new fresh potting mix to the pot. So when I was digging them out, You know, it's really important to inspect under the leaves as well, because that's usually where critters want to hide out. And so I'm not seeing any active signs of insect damage or critters or whatever, but crotons are sort of known for being a favorite delight of a lot of non-beneficial insects that you don't want to bring inside your greenhouse or house. So they look okay to me. So yeah, I'm just gonna spray them with neem oil, let them sit here in the sun and dry out a little bit. And while they're sitting here in the sun, drying out from the neem oil, I will tackle the kind of the final thing on my to-do list, and we'll go into the raised bed garden. And I've got a couple of different herbs that are perennial herbs, sage and thyme. And in my tall vertical planter, I'm going to pull those out and bring them in and put them in my little raised bed inside the greenhouse where I keep my other perennial herbs. So let's get after this step. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like getting a lot accomplished.
Okay.
The last thing I'll say about treating your plants before you bring them in, it's really a good idea too. You see I'm spraying the leaves on the top and for sure under the bottom, but also spraying the top of the soil just in case anything's in there that you do not want to bring in and introduce to your greenhouse or your house. Alrighty, so I have this pretty tricolored sage. I'm just going to lift it out of its spot. Got a nice big root ball there. That's super simple. All right, and then this English thyme, and this might even be lemon thyme. I can't remember, honestly. I need to take my gloves off and smell it. But thyme is also a perennial herb, and it's got a beautiful root system there. So all that's left is for me to take those in the greenhouse and transplant them into my herb box. Okay, so it's time for my thyme and tricolor sage to join its new home for the winter. And so you all that follow my channel have seen I have a couple of raised beds inside the greenhouse where I like to grow things. And in this one, of course, I've got my herbs. So I'm just going to dig out a nice big hole to receive those nice big healthy root balls. Couldn't be simpler. And I am going to add some Biotone root starter fertilizer. Now, most herbs do not like rich soil. Actually, herbs do better in crummy soil that isn't full of fertilizer. However, Biotone is an organic root stimulator, and since I'm transplanting these, I am hoping to spur on some root development so that they can get nestled in before our really cold winters hit. And so that's why I'm choosing to use it. But typically, I do not fertilize my herbs because they don't need it. Okay, so let's see. How about I'll take this beautiful English thyme and I'll pop it right there next to this, next to those chives. And then I'll nestle in this tricolor sage over here by another sage that's just a different variety. So I'm just going to backfill, water it in, and that's all there's to it. So my croton has had a chance to dry from me spraying it down with the neem oil. So it's time for me to get them potted up here in the greenhouse. I think I'll I'll move these out of the way a little bit so you can see here. I've got my little tidy tray, my potting up tray that is amazing in helping me control my mess. So I do want to take this out. It's got a really healthy root system. I think it looks like it's ready. So all I'm going to do is add some new soil to these pots. I sort of need to get a rag out here and clean up these pots so they look a little bit prettier, but let's get the planting done first. So I'm just using basic high quality potting mix, nice and fluffy soil. I am going to add some biotone so that we can help the roots really take off and grab onto this soil before winter hits. Let's see if that's going to be the right depth. I think so. And so I just need to add more soil and fill in around the edges. All right, so the croton has been potted up. So I think for right now, they're gonna stay here on this table. And I need to water them in. And I've noticed, because we've had some cold nights already, and you guys might have noticed that I've been having some leaf drop for sure because it's getting too cold. So I'll have to clean up some of those leaves out in front of the greenhouse. But otherwise, I think we'll give it a go and see how they do. I'm just going to water them in. Well, all I have left to do today is a little tidying up here in the greenhouse. I'm feeling really good about being able to check off a lot of my fall gardening to-do list. I hope that as you came along and saw the things that I'm tackling in my Zone 6 garden, it'll be a little bit of an inspiration or motivation for you to get out there wherever you are and think about what can you be doing at this time of year to ensure your 2026 gardening season is going to be a successful one. The other thing that I want to make sure I share with you all, I don't think I did earlier in the video, is to let you know that in my greenhouse, it's going to be heated. I heat my greenhouse in the wintertime. I have heaters set up here to go on automatically when the temperature in here gets to be 50 degrees. So that's been sort of the sweet spot for us in our greenhouse. If I can keep it 50 degrees or warmer in here throughout the winter, it does pretty well. And you know, some days, especially during the daytime with all the radiant heat coming in, those heaters don't need to work. In fact, right now, it's a little over 80 degrees inside the greenhouse, and outside of the greenhouse, it's about 48 degrees. So if that tells you anything about greenhouse gardening, whoo, yeah. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate you all coming along on this to-do list for fall gardening. And until next time, I wish everybody out there happy gardening.